The biggest title fight of 2025 goes down this weekend in Madison Square Garden between Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev. We have Dagestan versus Australia, part 3. Della Maddalena looking to avenge friend and teammate Alexander Volkanovski. Islam Makhachev looking to potentially surpass Khabib's legacy, throw himself into the GOAT conversation for the sport. And of course, Ilia Topuria versus Makhachev is on the table if Islam Makhachev wins, and retirement is on the table if Islam Makhachev loses. So we have a lot to talk about in this video. Breakdown and prediction for the main event of UFC 322 coming right at you. If this is your first time seeing my channel, my name is Wyatt and this is Fight Society, and let's get into the main event for UFC 322. All right, guys, before we get into it, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We are almost there, so please do me a huge favor. Click that subscribe button down below. All right, let's get into it. We have current welterweight champion of the UFC, Della Maddalena, just took the belt off of Belal Muhammad back in May at UFC 315. Islam Makhachev is making his first appearance at 170 pounds. We have not seen him since his title defense in Los Angeles at UFC 311 to kick off the year in January. Now, many of us were hoping to get Makhachev versus Topuria at UFC 317 in June, but with Belal Muhammad losing to Della Maddalena, Islam moves up. We got Topuria versus Oliveira, and then we got an AI-generated KO of Charles Oliveira that led to Ilia Topuria getting the belt. A lot of people are talking about Islam Makhachev's size. This right here is Emil Sardarian with Stand 'Em Up, very good page on Instagram, talking about how massive Islam Makhachev looks at 170 pounds. And seriously, he looks fucking massive. He looks like a monster in the videos that I've seen and in the training videos. He's been smoking some people, all right? How much of this will play into the fight? I'm not so sure, because this picture of their first face-off at the Empire State Building today shows them facing off with each other. It's hard to judge their body types against each other because they're both wearing jackets. But from a height standpoint, Della Maddalena looks to be bigger than Islam. And frankly, he's the guy that's been at 170 pounds. He's used to this weight class. Islam might be slow and gas out at this weight class, but there's also the argument that the lack of a weight cut for Islam Makhachev, or at least easier weight cut compared to 155 pounds, could make him stronger and make his cardio even better. And of course, you see the body language breakdowns right here. A lot of body language experts I've noticed today saying that Islam, you know, all over the place with his posture. Jack, very, very upright and confident facing off with Islam. Now, do with that whatever you will. I do not mind. There is so many big things on the table for this fight because Dana White confirms the possibility of a super fight in 2026. This is him talking about it on some sort of podcast right here.
Topuria and Islam, could that fight happen?
Yep, that can happen too.
I'd like to see that fight.
No. I think everybody wants to see that fight, including Topuria and Islam. So
now, there's Dana White saying that it very well could be happening, but it really just depends on what Islam does after this fight, and of course how he does in this fight, because this right here from Fight Basics says Islam Makhachev is willing to fight Topuria, but only at 170 pounds. To make the fight against Topuria at 155, it's going to be hard. But 170, if I take the belt, I will be ready for anything. He wants to fight at the White House. I also want to be there. It's going to be a big fight for the MMA community. If the UFC wants this fight, we can do this. Which fight is going to be bigger than this? Guys, I know the UFC does not want Ilia Topuria to move up to 170 pounds. Topuria said himself that they asked him not to call for it if he was to beat Charles Oliveira. They asked him straight up, please don't call for a third division. And he said, I remember, you guys remember the clip, he goes, I promise. And if it's at 155 or 170, we have to see this fight. We have to see Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. It's the fight of the decade, possibly the best fight since Conor and Khabib, one of the most high-level fights ever. We did not get Aspinall versus John Jones. We have to get this. If it's at 155, I probably take Topuria by KO. If it's at 170, I probably take Makhachev by submission. You know, the size difference and weight cuts at those two different weight classes greatly influences how I think those fights would go. But we have to see it. At this point, you know, we missed out on Jones Aspinall. I'll take this however we can get it. 155, 170, 165 catch weight. I don't care. We have to get this fight. One of the biggest fights, possibly the biggest fight available for the UFC. I know that Topuria and Makhachev are not as big of names in North America as like an Alex Pereira or a John Jones or even a Conor McGregor, but worldwide, massive, massive fight. Topuria with a very big audience in Europe, and Islam Makhachev, of course, has the Dagestani Muslim fan base behind him. This would be a freaking massive fight. It's not going to happen at the White House. I'm very, very certain that it will not happen at the White House, but it could happen on one of the 4 tentpole events that is allegedly going to be happening, airing on free TV on CBS next year as a part of the Paramount deal. If you guys missed that, they're going to do 4 numbered cards that are on live TV, free TV, CBS. One of them's the White House card, but there's 3 other ones per year. And I think this one would be amazing. All right. So I hope we get it. But Renato Moicano came in with some pretty good insight, and he was Islam's last opponent. I know he got smoked, but he has a lot to say about it. He says, let's suppose he beats Jack Della Maddalena, referring to Islam. Let's suppose he beats Jack Della Maddalena. He's going to look for someone that's more favorable and see if the UFC does that. If not, buy, meaning retirement. And I think by means more favorable is that means Ilia Topuria coming up to a 3rd weight class at 170, where Ilia would be very undersized for the weight class. And if he wins one more, also buy. And he's right. He can't stay too much longer. It's like I say, I did a video about Jose Aldo and got a lot of hate. Oh, you're talking about Jose Aldo's legacy. As a fan, I didn't like that he came back. He could have ended his career a better way. And I agree. Jose Aldo, like, retired, came back, retired, came back, retired. I think that when you walk away, you just got to walk away. The way that Khabib did it, in my opinion, Khabib walked away so soon to where it brings a lot of his legacy into question, his very questionable regional fights and getting the belt in a fight against Al Iaquinta. But he did beat McGregor, Gaethje, and Poirier, and then ride off into the sunset and get fucking millions of dollars through all types of sponsorships and kind of living a lot in the UAE. So, of course, Islam Makhachev could pull a John Jones and be like, I want Ilia at 170 for some ridiculous amount of money, and then I'll be on my merry way. I don't think Islam Makhachev sticks around for more than like 2 more fights at the most, including this weekend. And I agree with Renato Moicano on that. He talked about how his mother has pressured him to retire as well, now that even when he got the belt, when he beat Oliveira, it was a conversation as well. It might happen, it might not. It's got to be, you know, in typical Dagestani fashion. It's got to be on their terms, in the right environment, with no injuries, at the right weight class, at the right place, at the right time. It's just so many things that they want done to take fights that are hard. But with that said, I hope it happens. I know Topuria, he'll put his 0 on the line. He'll put his O on the line and fight Makhachev at 170. But let's get into the fight itself. Quick break. If you're loving this video and you want more from Fight Society, click that join button down below to become a channel member today, where you'll get access to members-only live streams, behind-the-scenes vlogs, and all the unfiltered stuff that we don't post to the main channel. Back to the video. We have Islam Makhachev's Tapology page right here. And frankly, a pretty goated run. I know that there's some questionable fights on there, but Gleason Tebow, who almost beat Khabib, or really did beat Khabib. Cajun Johnson, who's suing the UFC in a antitrust lawsuit right now. Ali Abdelaziz actually got subpoenaed for that. And then Arman Sarukian on short notice. Davi Ramos, who was 10-2 at the time. Drew Dober, Thiago Moises, Dan Hooker, King Green, Charles Oliveira, Volkanovski twice, Poirier, and then Moicano. And now here we are at the Jack Della Maddalena fight after the canceled Sarukian fight that turned into the Moicano title defense, dominated him. There is something to point out here about Islam Makhachev's resume, and it's that he's a totally different fighter when it's not a short notice opponent. If we look back here, Dan Hooker on, actually even back here, all the way back here. Arman Tsarukyan, UFC debut on short notice, took him to a very close split decision that some people say Tsarukyan won. Dan Hooker took the fight 30 days from when it took place. He got submitted in round 1, but he took the fight on 30 days notice as a top 10 opponent. And it was right after he fought Nasrat Haqparast. I think he fought Islam Makhachev like 40 days, 45 days after fighting Nasrat Haqparast. And it was only on 30 days notice. Really not an ideal turnaround time from a recovery standpoint, injury standpoint, or even a preparation standpoint for Dan Hooker. If the roles were reversed, there's no way in hell that Islam Makhachev takes that fight. Beneil Dariush pulls out, and he's replaced by King Green on, I think, 10 days notice or 1 week's notice. And it was right after he had just fought as well. Oliveira, fair and square, just beat him. He was better than Oliveira, smoked him that night. Full camp, Alexander Volkanovski pushed Islam Makhachev to the absolute brink, to where, frankly, there's an argument for Volk winning that fight. I think that Islam won that fight 3-2, but there is an argument for Volk. And that's against a featherweight. We're talking about Islam Makhachev all the way up at 170 now. And then, of course, from there, Alexander Volkanovski on short notice smokes him. Dustin Poirier on honestly not the biggest notice, like 7 weeks notice with hip injury, and went all the way into the 5th round, even though Dustin Poirier had broken hand, broken nose, something else, broken rib or something like that going into the fight. Dustin's a dog, took him to the 5th round in what was a very close fight. It was 2-2 going into the 5th round on my card. And then Makhachev versus Moicano was on 24 hours notice because Tsarukyan pulled out. I just made a video about Tsarukyan yesterday. And keep in mind, Poirier started his career at featherweight. He was a massive featherweight, but started his career at featherweight. So did Charles Oliveira, and so did Renato Moicano. So you have relatively short notice opponents that were a lot smaller than Islam, and a lot of them gave Islam a really hard time. I mean, of course, King Green short notice got smoked. Volk short notice got smoked. Dan Hooker short notice got smoked. But Volkanovski, full camp. Poirier, full camp. Pushed to the absolute brink, all right? So that's something to keep in mind with Islam Makhachev going up against Jack Della Maddalena, who is a real welterweight, not a featherweight moving up the lightweight, or in Islam's case, a lightweight moving up the welterweight. He is a real 170-pounder with a full camp that just smoked Bilal Muhammad, who has trained with Islam before. Jack Della's confidence is going to be sky high for this fight, regardless of if he's fighting a possible GOAT candidate. And you have a lot of people that are criticizing Jack Della Maddalena's run to the title. I mean, Pete Rodriguez, Ramazan Ameev, Danny Roberts, all of those really not good wins, but it was early in his career. Danny Brown just got stopped last weekend in a main event. 2 cancellations, Josiah Harrell and Sean Brady. Split decision against Basil Hafez, who he won that one easy. Kevin Holland, keep in mind, former middleweight, beat him. It was a split decision, close fight, but Jack Della should have won that by unanimous decision. Former middleweight, Jack Della beat him. So Jack Della has dealt with way bigger guys, all right? And then you have Gilbert Burns, aging Gilbert Burns, not the best win to get a title shot, but he beat him with a broken arm. That kept him out for over a year, as you can see right here, over a year between fights. And he was supposed to fight Leon Edwards right here in London. When Shavkat Rakhmonov got injured and couldn't fight Bilal Muhammad, they pulled Jack Della from this fight, put him into the title fight with Bilal Muhammad, and then Leon Edwards ended up fighting Sean Brady, where he got smoked. But keep in mind, Bilal Muhammad, very good welterweight with a semi-similar style to Islam Makhachev. Now, I don't think that Bilal is anywhere near as dangerous as Islam. Islam is dangerous on the feet, head kick KO against Volk, dropped Oliveira with the right hook that led to the arm triangle where he became champ. He's dangerous on the feet and, of course, dangerous on the ground. Bilal Muhammad's not really dangerous anywhere. He's just skilled. But when you consider that and the Kevin Holland fight, Kevin Holland's a lot bigger than him. Islam is nowhere near Kevin Holland's size. He's nowhere near as good, but nowhere near the size. And the win over Bilal Muhammad, where he just styled on Bilal Muhammad for the entire 5 rounds. Bilal was trying to say that he won the fight after. I super disagree with that. Jack is going to be very confident going into this fight. And there's been some very bad takes out there. For example, this legendary bad take from Brendan Schaub about the fight. I'll get into what I think about it in a moment, but I just had to throw in a little Schaub hatred right here.
Narrative of that Islam's this GOAT and he's better than Khabib is so far off. Now, him going to welterweight and doing something Khabib has never done will get him a little bit out of Khabib's shadow, but still not completely out of his shadow, right? Islam versus JDM.
First off, Islam's already out of Khabib's shadow. Khabib had a fraudulent legacy. Khabib beat a bunch of scrubs, arguably lost to Gleason Tebow, and then left the sport really young. Even though there's some short notice opponents that didn't have the best showing against Islam, when you consider Dan Hooker, Armin Sarukian, Thiago Moises, Drew Dober, Charles Oliveira, Volkanovski twice, Moicano's not a bad win. I know 24 hours is a little rough, but Poirier as well. And Islam had more title defenses than Khabib at lightweight. And especially if he wins this, he's way ahead of Khabib. Khabib has the most fraudulent legacy in the sport.
It's going to be more clear of a straight boxer, probably the best in the UFC, boxing-wise.
I agree with that. Jack Della's top 3 boxers in the UFC.
And Islam has decent striking. Quick saying it's fucking world class. His main thing is his defense. His defense is good. He avoids shots. That's probably where he excels at. But his offense ain't shit.
What the fuck are we talking about? Islam Makhachev was busted up so badly in the first Volk fight and in the Dustin Poirier fight. Defense, not great. He does get hit, all right? Busted up so bad in the Poirier fight, and of course, and busted up so bad in the Volk fight. Oh my God. And then offensively, it's not shit. I mean, short notice or not, KO'd Volk on the feet with a head kick, and he dropped Oliveira with a right hook to lead to that arm try. It's just so fucking terrible.
As far as compared to JDM. So you have a
he throws in the caveat of compared to JDM.
Straight boxer versus a straight grappler.
False.
That's what this fight comes down to. So the whole thought process for JDM, his path to victory is when you get taken down, can you avoid him controlling your back? Can you hand fight? Can you avoid all that and get back to your feet? JDM gets taken down and can get back to his feet and not get just out positioned and just wrestle fucked for 5 rounds. I just don't see a way Islam beats him.
Yeah, of course, if he gets back to his feet, JDM's going to bust him up. He doesn't have great defense on the feet. Just such a terrible take. But back to the fight. I think that there are 2 potential outcomes. I think we have Islam by second-ish, late first, second, early third, second-ish, I'll say. Second-ish round submission, just where JDM can't get up and gets his back taken and subbed or gets that Darce, for example. But JDM had such good success in positions against Bilal Muhammad, the same positions he's going to face against Islam, and he's got Craig Jones with him. He's got Alexander Volkanovski with him. I think they have perfectly formulated the anti-Dagestani plan. And that's why I think that Islam is going to have a good first round. He's going to get Jack down. We're going to see quite a bit of fence wrestling in the first round, but Jack is going to be really impressive. We're going to see Jack go, we're going to see Jack, and we're going to be like, whoa, what the fuck? He hit that switch on Islam Makhachev. Dustin Poirier hit it on Makhachev. I think it's possible that a bigger and better guy in Jack Della Maddalena could hit that switch, threaten different things against Islam Makhachev to make him panic a little bit and force the fight into the striking realm. And when we get into the striking realm, Jack Della Maddalena is going to absolutely cook Islam Makhachev. And I think we're going to see some of those boxing combos, switching stance, getting those angles in, out, the 1-2 from range, step through, switch stance, uppercut, hook. Jack Della Maddalena is so dynamic on the feet, especially with his boxing. And the fact that he's very boxing heavy as opposed to kickboxing heavy puts him in a little bit better position to defend the takedown. And he's also confident. He beat Bilal Muhammad, who is an actual welterweight, compared to Islam, who's a lightweight. I know he's put on a lot of size, but he's never fought somebody as big as Jack. He's fought a lot of featherweights, actually. So what I think is going to happen is a hairy first round for Jack Della Maddalena. Some takedown defense, maybe a couple of takedowns for Makhachev, where we go, oh shit, Jack might get submitted, or we're going to see a 5-round wrestle fest and an Islam Makhachev decision. But I think 3rd round, 4th round, in those spots where Dustin Poirier showed his dog against Islam Makhachev, and just the size advantage for Islam Makhachev and the skill advantage in the ground game for Islam Makhachev started to shine through. Even though Dustin Poirier was busting him up, I don't think Islam's going to be able to make it through those rounds. I think 1st and 2nd round, go to Islam. Third round goes to Jack Della Maddalena, where the takedowns start getting failed. And next thing you know, Jack Della Maddalena, fourth round, shaking his arms out, switching stances, throwing his hands up at Islam Makhachev. Well, Islam Makhachev, like the first Volk fight, is breathing heavy, stalling on bottom, trying to make it a grappling, even if he's on defense on bottom like the end of the fifth round against Volk, trying to survive. And Jack's got that killer instinct. I think we are going to get a round 4 TKO for Jack Della Maddalena, a sick boxing combo that drops Islam with some ground and pound TKO to finish it off. So there is my official prediction for the main event of UFC 322. Keep an eye out for tomorrow. I'll drop the full card predictions, but this is a big fight. I wanted to dedicate a singular video to this fight as opposed to the entire card. So let me know your thoughts down below. Please click that subscribe button. We're about to hit 10K subs. Like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you want more from Fight Society? Like and subscribe below this video and click the join button to become a channel member today to get access to behind the scenes vlogs and members only live streams.